Christy with Littlesaltyhomesteader. Today I am joined by my handsome husband, Jake. Today we're going to be talking about Whole30, what the hell that has to do with the garden, and how we're feeling while we're doing it, and some tips and tricks to get you through it in case you decide to try it. First of all, what is Whole30? It's kind of a whole body reset, I would say. You cut out pretty much all the bad things that cause pain and inflammation. You cut out beans and soy and grains and sugar and dairy and all the fun things that taste delicious, to try to force your body to kind of start anew so that you're starting off on a healthy foot, and then you slowly reintroduce those fun foods back in, trying to find that trigger that causes the pain or the weight gain or the bloating or what have you. So we started 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Something like that. Well, actually, we started at the beginning of July, but we went on a trip in the middle of July. So we had to start over when we got back, because you cannot eat out successfully on Whole30 unless you're just ordering lettuce. So we're about 2 weeks back in, and why we started was because for me, I woke up one day in a horrendous amount of pain in my knees and my hips. It was so bad that I had to stop working my day job in the middle of the day and go take a bath with a bunch of Epsom salt to try to relieve the pain, and I was trying to do stretches, and it was so painful. So I texted him, he was at work, and I was like, alright, we're gonna do Whole30, and he just texted back, okay. So why did you say okay?
I wanted to do Whole30 also because I needed to change. My weight was increasing every single day. Well, not every single day, but it was increasing. I used to be 250 pounds. I lost 100 pounds when we first met. I was about 150, 155. And I lost all that weight. And it was a really hard struggle that pretty much all my life that I've been heavy. And so I just didn't want to go back to where I was, because I wasn't happy there at that weight. So I'd much rather be like around 170, 160, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And it was more that I was feeling fatigued all the time and tired, and I would eat a lot. And I have this problem where if I get depressed or anything like that, I use food as what do you call it? Like
therapy,
as
almost.
a therapy. It's like you just want to eat more, and you get
Eat
more
your
depressed, and then you gain more, and it just becomes this nasty cycle, and I wanted to break that.
Yeah, and that's what Whole30 is really good for. It helps you kind of retrain your brain so that your brain isn't constantly telling you, I need the chips, I need the queso, I need the Dr. Pepper, which for me, the Dr. Pepper was my biggest. Actually, I'm fibbing a little bit. Dr. Pepper was my second biggest crutch. As it turns out, coffee creamer was my biggest crutch.
And cookies.
Well, I haven't really bought a whole lot of cookies.
Yeah.
But like chips and salsa, that was every night for me. It was just my snack. My body was like, you need chips and salsa. So I would eat it. But it took its toll. And, he would come home from work and just be starving, and that took its toll. So we were like, all right, let's do Whole30. We did it once 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And saw really good results. So we thought, all right, we'll do it again. We'll retrain our brains again, so that we can start making better decisions for our bodies, for our kids. We want to be around for a long time for them, even when they drive us crazy. So we hit it really hard. We do pretty good on it. Sometimes it's more difficult than others. Like right now, I really want chocolate cake, but my birthday's on Sunday, so I think that's why. But like I said, we're about halfway through, and the trash man is really, really late, so sorry about that noise. Overall, my pain levels in my knees and hips have pretty much gone away. I have cut down my coffee to 1 cup in the mornings. I have 0 caffeine after that. I just drink water, sparkling water, or herbal tea the rest of the day. I wake up before my alarm goes off and I'm fully rested. I'm ready to go. And I'm remembering to do things that typically I would forget. Like got the kids registered for school. Like all in one day, got the kids registered for school, got them doctor's appointments, blah, 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 blah. Just the list goes on because I just had the mental capacity to remember all of the stuff that I was forgetting a month ago. How are you feeling?
I feel pretty good. I do like that it resets your way of thinking and your way of just thinking that all the things that you crave from a daily basis, like cookies, sugar, creamer, all that stuff, all the good stuff, and it really makes you not crave those things anymore. I mean, every once in a while you'll get a craving or so, and then you'll eat some grapes and some almond butter. Yeah, you'll have to learn to love almond butter because you can't really have any treats. And so fruit
becomes your treat.
And almond butter.
But then you start craving fruit. Like I bought cherries the other day, and by Tuesday they were gone because that was what I wanted. Maybe my crutch is now fruit, and I'm gonna have to knock that out. But being that this is a gardening channel, we should probably discuss how Whole30 and all of the gardening are related. Well, they can absolutely be besties because with Whole30 you can have, I'm pretty sure, almost every vegetable as long as it's not a grain. So not corn, but okra, tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, onions, garlic, green beans, not regular beans, but green beans you can have. All of those things that you can grow in your garden, even right now in the middle of summer, as long as it's not corn or a grain, you can incorporate that into your Whole30 meal plan. And you can literally make your meal plan by shopping in your garden. And then with the fall coming up and the cooler weather, then you can get all those awesome broccoli and cauliflower, lettuces, those big leafy greens for beautiful, wonderful salads. So if you have a garden, translating that into a Whole30 meal plan isn't too horribly difficult because then you just supplement with, the meats and whatever fruits you don't grow and eggs. Lots and lots of eggs. But if you have chickens, there you go, you got it. And so with garden, they can be besties. That's the shortest way to put it. So now we can talk about some tips and tricks to get you through Whole30. Obviously the first one would be if you have the garden, go ahead and shop the garden, make your meal plan based on what you have coming in off of the harvest because you can save a lot of money by not having to buy those produce items. The second tip that I would say is cook enough at dinner to have as leftovers for lunch the next day. Because with Whole30, the goal is to not have prepackaged foods. You're going to be making a lot of fresh meals. Breakfast, lunches, and dinners are all homemade from scratch. So the less cooking and prep work you have to do, the easier it's going to be for you to stick to it. So you make enough at dinner to have for lunch the next day. And then on that same note, make big batches of breakfast items so that it'll last you over 3 days. Like egg muffins are great. You can knock out a dozen of them and then they last us 3 days. So I don't have to worry about breakfast until, 3 days from now or whatever. And then another one that's incredibly helpful that we do even whenever we're not doing Whole30 is prep your produce whenever you buy it. Bring it in from the store, wash it. Go ahead and get your carrots into a dish ready for you to eat. Wash all of your fruit, cut up your strawberries, peel the stems off of your cherries. If you get grapes, pull those off of the bunch and put them all in airtight containers. That way whenever you're ready to get that snack, you can just go and grab and you don't have to worry about washing it and preparing it then. The only thing that doesn't work with is apples and peaches and pears. And then...
But of course, you can still wash them.
Yeah, of course wash them, but you'll have to cut them once you pull them out of the fridge. You can't cut them ahead of time like you can the strawberries. Also, know your kitchen strengths and meal plan around them. If you are not good at standing over a hot stove for 20-30 minutes, break out your slow cooker. Use your pressure cooker. Use your grill outside. Use what you're good at and make your meal plans around that. Because if you try to make a meal with techniques that you don't know how to do, then you're going to give up and you're not going to finish. And then you're not going to feel good. And you will have to start over at some point like we do.
Another thing is for people that are going out, that know that they're going to go out, either eat before you leave or plan to leave early so that way you can get your meal in. Or like we went to a birthday party and they had burgers and all that kind of stuff. Well, we can eat meat. We just can't eat the bun or certain like condiments. So we can put we both love mustard, so we put mustard on our burgers and just use lettuce instead of a bun, which works out a lot. Because I really like pickles and things like that on my burger, but that's about it.
Yeah, and she oven roasted the fries, so it was fine for us to have those.
Yeah, you can still have fries, but they just need to be baked in the oven and make sure that they don't have any...
yeah, like you can't do the Chick-fil-A fries because of the peanut oil.
And also things that might be breaded too.
Right.
Like have any kind of flour.
Yeah. Salads are awesome. We eat a lot of salads. I probably make us 2 to 3 salads a week. Because it's a great way to get a whole bunch of veggies in for your day, for your week. And then because Whole30 has a ton of eggs, freeze those eggshells and you can use them later in your gardens. You can also save your produce scraps to either start or add to your compost bin. Did you have any other tips for sticking to Whole30 and getting through it?
Really, it's just the first couple of days, and once you get that mindset of how to do it, you might even start like the week, but don't be too strict on it, and then you can kind of get stricter as you go along and try to keep up with it. It's kind of tough because you do find yourself, hungry a lot of the times, but try to keep busy with hobbies.
Increase your water intake. Yeah. That'll help.
I was really good the first couple of weeks on water and drinking lots of water, but I've kind of slowed down on my water intake.
Yeah, I tried to push more water today because I got this voice thing going on. But mostly, overall, the thing to tell yourself with Whole30 is it's not going to be like, if you want to eat spaghetti and meatballs, it's not going to be spaghetti and meatballs. It'll be meatballs with zucchini noodles or spaghetti squash. You have to tell your mind that it's okay, that it's not actually noodles. We have a little bit of a hard time with...
I'm not a fan of zoodles.
Noodle alternatives.
I'd much rather have the real thing.
Yeah, but it's part of retraining your brain. You have to tell yourself, hey, this is good for you. This is going to make you feel better. But just because it's something hard to do and you're giving up a lot, it doesn't mean that it has to be super boring. We've had some fantastic food that has been Whole30 compliant that, you honestly couldn't tell that we had cut out the bad, fun stuff.
Yeah, I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised this time around because I feel like the first time we did it, it was kind of more along of what you would think of dietary foods and how it would taste. But this time, everything's been really good. The only one that I didn't like so much was probably tonight's dinner.
And that's okay. You gotta experiment.
Yeah.
There's, because tonight's dinner, full disclosure, I was trying to recreate a little bit some of our favorite sushi things. Well, we can't have soy and we can't have rice. So it made it a little bit difficult. But we had cauliflower rice, which we are actually okay with.
Yeah.
But I think because I did like a California roll in a bowl, the crab that I was able to find was from a can, so it kind of had like a tinny, kind of metal metallic taste. Overall, the texture of it was a little bit weird. But we are okay with experimenting because, like we had this breakfast the other day that sounded really weird, but I think it's been our favorite breakfast so far.
Which one was that?
The sweet potato and apple breakfast.
Almost say that it tasted or reminded me of bread pudding, which is kind of off-putting because of it had
like
sweet potato,
custard.
It had raisins and apple, and then it had egg whites on top.
It had eggs. It was eggs.
I didn't see any yolks, but
yeah, it was all eggs.
Okay.
It was because it had coconut milk in it, so it lightened up the yellow to a lighter color.
Okay.
And walnuts and cinnamon and some pumpkin pie spice. No sweetener, but we didn't eat it.
The texture kind of came out like bread pudding.
It was really custardy. And
you can almost fool your mind into thinking that's what you're eating because the raisins kind of gave it that more sweet taste.
Yeah.
And so
I guess that's our final tip for getting through Whole30. Don't be afraid to experiment.
Because even though something sounds weird, it may not be that bad.
Yeah.
Or it might be your favorite thing on the meal too.
Yeah. Because I'll be cooking while he's driving home and he's like, what's for dinner? And I'll ramble off something, the combination is just incredibly odd. And he's like, huh, okay. And then he sits down to eat and he's like, whoa, this is really good. Except for today's.
Yeah, the gumbo was actually interesting because the first night it wasn't very good, but the second day and third day it was really good. Even with the cauliflower rice, which is
I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna back up to the wasn't very good part. The gumbo was passable. What happened was I got hungry. I was hungry. I mean, like, my stomach was rumbling and the dog looked at me weird. I was hungry. So I was like, this looks done. Really, it probably should have simmered another good 30, 45 minutes. And then I think it would have, at that point, it would have tasted like it did the next day whenever we ate it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't bad. I was just hungry.
Well, I think that the shrimp just needed some seasoning on it whenever it was being pre-cooked. And the chicken kind of tastes chickeny. Like, the chicken gets kind of that chickeny taste.
Anything else you want to add about Whole30?
No. Find yourself somebody that will cook it all for you.
I think that's his biggest tip. Although sometimes, if we don't have like a pre-made breakfast, he'll pick up the slack and make the breakfast. Because I'll meander out and I'm kind of grumpy in the mornings.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for watching. There will actually be a bonus video this week because I have an announcement in regards to my small business. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I will have some of my favorite Whole30 recipes in the description box below. I'll link you to those so that you can see how crazy those can be. Until next time, you guys have a wonderful week. Bye!